Hi, my name is Morgan. Welcome to my garden. We are not in my kitchen today. This afternoon I am working on kind of cleaning up the last bit of the garden, trying to get all the tomatoes and the rest of the peppers out and cleaning up all the weeds before everything goes to seed, and then I'm dealing with more weeds next year. So I will run you through a quick little garden tour and then we will get to harvesting. So come along with me as we harvest the last of the tomatoes and peppers. So I haven't been out here in about 2 weeks, so everything's just kind of a jungly mess, so excuse all the weeds, but you know, when it gets to the end of the garden season, it just is what it is. So originally I had all cabbages planted along here. I had 2 rows of cabbages, and then here are all my peppers. And then I had a row of cabbages that led along this edge here. So I have bell peppers. This is my one banana pepper plant. I gave the rest to my sister. Jalapeno. Have bell peppers, another bell pepper, and then two bell peppers. This looks like it is a bell pepper as well. I planted all California Wonder and yellow bell peppers this year. And then these are all jalapenos. Looks like we have a ripe jalapeno down there. And then here are all my tomatoes. I had 2 rows of tomatoes that I staked up. I just used this kind of flimsy wire this year because that's all I had. And I will definitely be using like cattle panels next year. I have 1 cherry tomato plant. This is Aroma. This I believe is a delicious tomato. Yeah, I believe they were delicious. Here's another Roma. Don't mind all the weeds. I will be pulling them out, but I had snap peas planted along the fence and was harvesting them. I've already pulled some of my tomato plants just because they weren't doing that well, so I already pulled them. So that's why those tomato cages are there. More Romas, and that I believe is another delicious tomato. And then I had some sunflowers. They were a purple sunflower. They were beautiful, and I'm gonna try to harvest some of those seeds. And in that corner I had green beans, but I've already pulled them out because they only last so long. So let's go ahead and harvest the last little bit of produce from the garden. now it's time to start working on getting these plants out of the ground. I wasn't planning on harvesting the little peppers, but I just went ahead and did, and I figured maybe I'll make some hot sauce with those, kind of like a redo of my previous attempt. So I'm picking all the peppers off and then getting the plants out of the ground just so they stop producing. And now I'm working on getting some of these weeds out of the ground. I had done the, cardboard method of weed prevention this year, of putting a piece of cardboard down and then layering like 3 or 4 inches of compost on top, which I used horse manure, and that worked great, but I only had it for parts of my garden, so next year I'll make sure to do it for all of the garden. If you're wondering what that noise is in the background, that's just the sound of fall in the Midwest. The farmers have gotten into the field. They're beginning to combine their corn, and soon they'll be combining beans, and soon it'll be wintertime. Time is just flying by, but I won't make you listen to that any longer. I'll put on some good music for you. Any tomatoes I find that have bad spots on them, I'm just tossing onto the ground, and I'm going to let them compost in place. I believe some of them have blossom end rot, but some I'm not quite sure what they have. I'd have to ask my father-in-law. He is a tomato expert. He actually gave me those tomato clips that you see hanging on the wire holding the tomato plants up, which granted, you can snake your tomato vines through a wire or whatever you have your tomato plants on. You don't need the tomato clips, but they definitely help. It will hold the tomato plant onto the wire and it won't fall down or come loose. I could be harvesting all of the green tomatoes off of these plants, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't feel like preserving them, and I would rather have those nutrients go back into the soil, so that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to let it compost in place. I feel like this year I grew all tomato leaves and not tomatoes, which granted I did get a lot of tomatoes off of these plants, but there were just so many leaves. I didn't keep up on pruning when I should have, and it was just a little overwhelming to say the least. So next year my goal is to probably prune a lot more, and I hope I can stick to that. This year was just pretty hard for me because being a first-time mom and not having any help in the garden, it was a little rough, but hey, I managed to pull through, and yes, my garden may not be in top-notch neat form, but I still got a lot of food out of it to help feed my family and cut down on grocery costs. Plus, knowing where exactly our food is coming from is a huge factor for me. I love being able to preserve food for my family, and knowing all of the hard work that went into it. All of these tomato and pepper plants, which granted, all of the plants I planted this year I grew from seed, and I'm so proud of myself. The bugs were having a tasty treat with that tomato. I can't help but think how bad I let the garden get this year. It's unruly and unmanageable, but so is life, and if that's the one thing I couldn't get to this year, so be it. I'm proud of myself for starting this channel that I absolutely love. Y'all are the absolute best. I love hearing from you. Your comments keep me going. I appreciate each and every one of you that take the time out of your day
to actually watch my videos or even leave a like or comment. It means the absolute world to me that you all will take the time out of your day to watch what I'm doing in the kitchen or now in the garden. I am so grateful to each and every one of you. I did take the little bowl I had of peppers and I added that to my tomatoes, and then I took the little bowl and filled it with sunflower heads so I can get the seeds off of them to save them.
Alrighty, I'm gonna be done with this afternoon. It is starting to rain and these mosquitoes are just terrible. So I'm gonna go ahead and head in, get all this tomato gunk washed off. We only have a couple more weeks left of a growing season, but all of these plants are basically done. So I just went ahead and tried to take them all out now. That way they're done and they're not producing any more fruit. I went through and clipped all of the bottom of these plants so they won't keep producing. I don't need any more tomatoes for this year, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing with the ones that I have in that bowl. But whatever I decide, I'll make sure to bring you along for it. I'm just going to leave the majority of these plants in place so they can compost down. When these tomatoes that are along this fence dry out, I'll pull them down and just scatter them about. Next year, this spring, I will make sure to be posting more garden videos. We had just moved here onto this property this summer, and it was just a rat race into trying to get everything planted and going. And then when preserving season came around, and that was all I could barely manage. Let me know down below of if you have any recommendations on what to do with all of the tomato debris. Should I leave it in place and compost it like I'm planning on, or should I burn it? I'm not really sure because none of my plants are too diseased, but I don't know if I want to introduce all that bacteria back into the soil. So let me know down below if you have any recommendations. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.